All right, listeners, welcome back to Sixes and Sevens with your favourite rat bags, myself, Todd Carney, and Mitchell Pearce. How you going, buddy?
Toddy, couldn't wait to get back in here today. First one I thought went all right for us the other day. Some good feedback, which was good, but mate, couldn't wait to get out of bed this morning and get back in here and see your red head. You've been in the sun all day.
Well, like I said, mate, some people work, some people have to go out and earn a living. We can't just all live on the Esplanade in France for the rest of our lives, can we?
I work. I'm a busy man.
What's work?
Plenty of things.
That's very good, mate. I'm like you. I was excited about getting up today, and like we said, we got a bit of feedback about how we went the other day, and hopefully we can run a little bit smoothly today. And I guess we're here to talk about footy. They don't want to talk about us, hear us dribbling too much shit. So we're not far away from the season kicking off. Let's continue with our team previews. Today we're going to be looking at the Broncos, Roosters, Panthers, and the Bulldogs. But I think the team we'll kick off first is a team that has got some big ins and a big out for a big part of it, or a small part of their season till round 10. Let's talk about the Broncos. Like I said, their big in is Ben Hunt with the unfortunate out of Ezra Mam till round 10. What are your thoughts on all that, and how do you think it's played out, and where do you think it'll end up?
Broncos for me are a top four side. I'm just going to come out with that straight away. Obviously, there's a lot to go till the end of the season to get to that result. But look, new coach Ben Hunt for me, as you just said, as an in is a huge in. I think he'll be the buy of the season. He's obviously an older player now, but an out-and-out leader, winner at all levels, and exactly what they need with that younger roster to stand next to Adam Reynolds there and give him a bit of a guiding hand. Ezra Mann obviously out until round 10. That was all the news over the off season. And then the changes that Madge is going to have to deal with the culture in and around all these off-field issues. But for me, Ben Hunt, as I just said, is the big in for them. You look across the roster of the Broncos, they've got the best roster in the comp for me, as far as young legs, athleticism, and just out-and-out superstars. Pretty much from 1 to 13, they're all either rep players or potentially rep players in their own right and for their own countries. But yeah, for me, the halves, Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds is the icing on the cake. Ezra Mann, for me, even if he was playing round 1, I'd still potentially not play him. I know it's a big call, but I think the style that Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds would play to that team, it's what they need. Two halves that can kick, short kicking game and long kicking game. Two guys that can manage the big moments. Two really tough defenders. That's why I would probably debate whether I'd start Ezra or Ben Hunt in that 6 role to start the year. I'd probably lean towards Ben Hunt because of the defensive resilience that he has over Ezra. We've seen Ezra come up with some really big moments with the ball and some really good footy, but he's also had some deficiencies in D. And so that's why I'd choose to go with those two to start the season. But yeah, they've got a great mix, don't they? A great balance in their roster, and there's no doubt they've lacked discipline, and Madge isn't going to cop that.
Yeah, I totally agree with you what you're saying about Ben Hunt coming in. He's a massive into any club, but to a club like the Broncos, they're probably screaming out for another leader. Like they've got some young forwards, young outside backs, and Renault's there, and he'll take the sole captaincy this year. But I think Ben Hunt will take a lot of that workload away from him, obviously away from the footy. He's been at the Broncos before. He knows what it's about to be a Bronco, probably more so than Renault, because he started there. That's where he was started his junior football. So I think he's a massive in, but I don't really agree with you with the Ezra thing. I think, and I don't think the club does either, because by round 10, they're saying that he'll be back in and they'll move Ben Hunt to 9. What does that do to the team if, like, okay, let's get in the crystal ball and we'll fast forward to round 10. What if Brisbane have won 10-0? Does Ezra walk back in the team? How does it play out? Like, obviously, Ezra's the future of the club. Ben Hunt's there to fill a gap for the next 2 years, or it depends how long his body holds up for. But there's obviously some big question marks of when Ezra comes back, where does he fit in? How do the Broncos play? Obviously, as you mentioned before, both leaders of their clubs that they've been at before. both natural kickers, both hands on ball halves. How do you see the Broncos actually lining up to play round one? What style do you think that you will see, and what style would you like to see?
Yeah, well, I think if your scenario is right and they're 10 in a row, the team's flying, they're all ready. If they're all ready to play Origin, the halves are on fire. There's no reason Madge is going to change the team. You could easily play Ezra as a 14 potentially if that opened up when he came back in. The other obviously obvious change, they've got the two nines there, Billy Walters, who did a solid job last year, and Blake Moser that they're actually leaning towards in the media to start at 9. You could see a really good side there if, say, for instance, their performances aren't clicking as well, and Benny Hunt just slots straight into 9, which he's done at Queensland level and Australian level plenty of times, and at NRL level. And Ezra comes back into 6. Both are effective, and what a luxury they've got to be able to have that type of change whenever they needed it. When there's obviously going to be injuries as well, so they're in a really, really good position. How I see them play this year, I still think Adam Reynolds will be the more on-ball halfback. That's his style, isn't it, with his kicking game, the directional halfback. Benny Hunt's got the flexibility in his game where he can play that more of a running 6. Obviously, with Walshy there, he loves playing down those big 4s and really attacking short sides. He's a bit more of an erratic player where he's at in his career, where he just wants to pop up wherever he can and sees opportunities and sees the moments. So I'd like to see Benny Hunt there, and I think they will use him as that more of a second receiver runner. But I think they'll definitely change roles when it suits. They're both experienced and understand the game, so they'll mix up roles between 6 and 7, and both styles will work for them. And they've got such a good pack to play off.
Do you think it frees up Reece Walsh a little bit more with Ben there? I see that he'd be able to play at the back of both Renault and Hunt down the left side also. But you look at their back line: Reece Walsh, Jesse Arthurs, Katoni Staggs, Taylor Mariner, and Selwyn Cobbo.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
It's an outstanding. And there's two guys that I like on the bench, and we haven't really put them as standouts, but Xavier Wilson and Ben Tiacora, two big middles that come on and roll through the middle. That I think with their second year coming in, they'll get a lot of go for it off them two guys. What do you think of the Madge Maguire effect, and what have you heard coming out of the preseason, or what's your thoughts on Madge and what he's going to bring to the Broncos and how best suited they'll play for him?
Well, you can also speak about Madge having a close relationship with him in your early days. Madge is the perfect coach for this group, I think. Where they're at, there's no doubt they seem like a loose group, a team that, if not led right, can be ill-disciplined. We saw that last year. They're still all learning what it takes to be professionals as well, and we've been in these situations, so we can relate to that. And sometimes all you need at that tender age in your early 20s, when you got all the ability in the world, but you just need a bit of direction, is you need a Madge. You need a Madge Maguire. And the club's obviously knows this. They've made a really smart move and been able to get him over the line. The thing with Madge is Madge has had success everywhere he's gone, and I don't think he gets the credit. He's from Origins to the Wigan Warriors in the Super League, to New Zealand, South. I missed one. There was another team that he had a
Origin
as well. Sorry. So yeah, he's
a winner and he's a leader. He obviously demands standards, and I was lucky enough to go up to the Broncos at the start of preseason and do a bit of a presentation, and I was quite in awe being around the group. Obviously, there's some big superstars there, but just listening to Madge talk before I spoke, and then speaking to Madge after about why he got me there to speak and what he wants to get out of that group. He's got some players there that, if he gets humming, Reece Walsh, Ezra when he comes back, and I know what Ezra's going through. I've been in that position plenty of times about getting put away from the game, and you got to go away and work hard. And what that's going to do for Ezra, they'll get a fit, ready Ezra when he comes back. But also what that will do, there'll be a snowball effect from the way Ezra is away from the field for other players to want to drive that standard and know what they can see him doing. So I think it's going to be a big Madge Maguire effect there this year. I think they're a top 6 team, potentially top 4, if they can all stay fit and obviously manage the Origin period. They'll lose a couple throughout Origin, but as you said, they'll keep their reliable half if he's fit, and a few of them young guys. So they've got some depth there. But I really see a big year for the Brisbane Broncos.
Yeah, exactly what you just said then about polishing up your lifestyle and what he's going to bring through Ezra's effect. That's going to come out in their defence, right? We know that. It comes out in the one percenters and the effort areas. And as we said before, they're a loose group with all the ability. Few lifestyle changes and a bit of father figure standover authority from Madge. I think we'll see the best of them, and for me, they'll be in the top 4, no doubt, if they can play consistent. They got a better roster than nearly anyone.
Sixes and Sevens is brought to you by Property 360. Property 360 is a dedicated team of acquisition advisors committed to securing the best real estate deals to expand your property portfolio.
They offer complete property acquisition service, providing privileged insights and thorough marketing analysis to deliver quantifiable results for investors.
Whether you're new to property investment or looking to enhance your existing portfolio, Property 360 experts are ready to assist you achieving your financial goals.
Head to property360.com.au to find out more.
This next team did have a better roster than them until their big ins and outs for 2025. I'm going to yell out their ins, Chad Townsend, and I'm going to yell out their outs here to you, Mitch. Michael Jennings, Luke Geary, Joseph Manu, Terrell May, Dylan Napa, Joseph Sully, Satili Tupanua, Jared Ware-Hargraves, and then Walker ACL and Cheese ACL for a while. Where do you see this all? Where's the change? Obviously, there's going to be a big change. Who takes the load of the change, and where do you see it? Where do you see it starting? Obviously, Walker's out for the start of the year. Cheese is out for the start of the year. They've brought in Chad Townsend, which is going to be an old level head. How do you see it? It's you work in around the Roosters, so you're probably the best to know about it. So I'd be interested to see your view on it and what you think, and then I can sort of dissect it with you.
Yeah, so it's probably the biggest change the Roosters have had in 15 years, or at least 12 years. From since Robbo took over in end of 2012 season to now, it's probably the biggest turnover of superstar players that the club's had in, as I said, 12 to 15 years. It's definitely a change of the guard for the Roosters. To lose not only 7 of your top shelf players, but out of them probably your 3 best leaders in Luke Keary, Jared Warrior-Hargraves, and even though he's a quieter guy, Joey Manu, for all the stuff he does around the club. To lose that presence in and around a group is huge and extremely hard to replace. I think the Roosters it's an unknown season for them this year, and I'm sure that they're aware of that as well. For me, I think Chad Townsend, it's a funny situation, the Chad Townsend one. So I think when he signed on low money coming over as an older guy to be a bit of a foil, he probably saw himself as a foil to finish his career off, to be a support player to Walks and Sandon Smith there at the time, who was going to get the first crack. And all of a sudden he's walked into the weight of the world on his shoulders, carrying the team through the early part of the season. So there's a couple of really good stories there. And I think without Robbo as a leader, the club could be a difficult start to the season. But being in and around the group, I think with Robbo's leadership, the way he galvanises a group, I think you're definitely going to get all buy-in from the team. And I've seen them work hard. You're going to get all buy-in. Whether they've got a thick enough squad to deal with a few injuries or setbacks will be seen, and how that the loss of their leaders has an impact will be seen. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and how they're going to play is a bit up in the air as well, right? Obviously, Walks being out at the start of the year, Chad Townsend now becomes, as we said, that main guy playing on the ball and leading the ship. So, how do you see it?
Yeah, well, I see it. I know Chad well, and I've played with Chad at Cronulla, and I follow his career closely, and he'll be going in there confident. Chad's a confident person, and he'll be confident with the players around him. Obviously, they've still got some superstars in Teddy Crichton. Spencer Leniu will start this year with Jared leaving, Lindsay Collins up front, and obviously Angus Crichton in the back row. He's got some quality players around him, and I think he'll do a job. I think
still a good pack.
It's still a great pack. And they've still got some outstanding outside backs. They're big wingers in Young and Tupou. It's hard to say. until they get Cheese and Walker back, you can't really put a marker on them. But I just see it. If they struggle early, it will be a difficult year for them. I hope I'm wrong because I'd like to see him do well. I'd like to see Chad, as you said, he's probably turned up there thinking he'd be able to just sort of fill in where he had to fill in, and that was probably his role when he spoke to. But then all of a sudden, Walker goes and does his ACL. He's the main man, which he's been capable of doing. He was the main man at Cronulla. He was the main man at the Warriors, and then he was the main man at the Cowboys. And when Chad plays really well and plays on his game, he's an outstanding player. But let's just hope.
From all reports there at training, he's been huge over preseason. Obviously, with a younger group there, the talk is of how good his leadership's been in and around video sessions and on the field. So it's actually it's worked out a blessing to have him there, no doubt. I think the thing with the Roosters, you lose that much of a turnover of players, you need a good group coming through. And to be honest, their second tier is nearly as good as any other players coming through out of the other teams in the competition. Blake Steeps is standout. They've got Rob Toyer there. Two young, really good halves. Toby Rodwell, who's the Australian schoolboys halfback, and he's going to be a seasoned first grader when he gets his crack. They're going to be patient with him, but Toby Rodwell, he'll be on the scene in a short period of time, and Jake Elliott, a Central Coast kid there, who's a 6. So they've got depth in their squad. It's obviously players that haven't been proven yet, so it's a risk, or it takes time. But there is a squad there, but it's a position that the Roosters haven't seen themselves in for a very long time. And how the club stays solid in this period it's going to be, if they can pull through and make the 8 and be really successful this year, it's probably going to be one of their best years they've had in 15 years, in my opinion.
So true. And this is why it's a big talking point. Like I said from the start, the ins is Chad Townsend, one person, and they've got so many out. So it's going to be always a talking point. And the talking point can be put to bed, as you said, if they can finish in the top 8. They're going through a roster rehaul, but they've still got their superstars that the Roosters will always have. So I think they can handle it. But like I said, I don't see him sitting in the top 8 at the back end of the year, but who knows? I might be wrong. Hopefully for the Roosters, I'll be wrong. There's one team that I definitely know that won't be sitting in the bottom of the top 8 this year, and that's the 4-time premiership Penrith Panthers. Again, they lose more players to cap pressure, but let's take a notable to look at their ins and their outs. Isaiah Papali'i and Blaze Talangi, which is a guy that they're saying will feature at number 6 if all reports from the preseason. And their big outs, another team that's got some massive outs. James Fisher-Hazes, Jerome Luai, Talon May, Tyrone Peachy, and Sanoa Taruva. Where do you see this happening? How does this set halves play? And what's your player to watch and prediction? I'm in awe of the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah, mate. When you just said there, you spoke about the Roosters having a huge turnover of players. You could probably, not to the same extent as Roosters, but yeah, Penrith, they've got players dropping off like flies too after each trophy that they pick up. Obviously, notably, Jerome Luai and Fisher Harris there. Two of the obvious ones, and probably a huge hole that's going to be left. How are they going to go? I've got them at top 2 for the year. I don't know if they can go 5 in a row. The reasons being, Jerome for me is obviously a huge out. And I think if you had a conversation with Nathan right now, he'd be there working on some ways that he has to take even more responsibility than he already does to cover that hole. He's obviously got Blaze Talangi there this year that's going to get first crack by all reports at 6. As we know, he's played centre at Parramatta, played at 6 during the juniors as well. So obviously, but he's been brought there as a 6 to stand outside Nathan. I think it's the best move for his career to be able to play in that roster and outside Nathan, but he's going to have his challenges this year. Defensively, we've seen at centre a few times. He has been caught out. I went back to a game last year when Penrith pulled Parramatta's edge down and he was at centre. And one-on-one, physically, he's a really good defender, but with bodies in motion, being a young kid still, there is some vulnerability there in his D. So that's going to be a challenge for him this year. And Jerome, having the replacement for Jerome there, obviously is going to, just having him there defensively week to week is going to be a challenge. And then obviously Fisher Harris is just the whole he leaves on and off the field around training. His influence in and around the group. From all reports, he was the alpha there. He was the leader of everything. Obviously got Moses Leota there and Liam Henry that are more than capable in their own right, but they're going to have to take the load that he's leaving. And how that has an effect on him, we will soon see. But I'm excited for, we say it every year, but I'm excited for how Nathan evolves again this year. For my prediction, he's going to have to maybe take, as I just said, take a little bit more of the reins, especially down that left edge. We'll probably see Blaze playing out the back a bit more off sweep plays as opposed to being as the first receiver. They're gonna evolve their game again, and I think Nathan's going to take his game to a whole nother level because of that change. But he might even be relishing in having a runner there, as opposed to someone else that's more of a ball player. What do you think?
It is a big challenge, obviously, for any team when you lose their superstars like they have over the last few years after their grand final success. But this is probably the most powerful one because obviously Jerome Luai has been a big part of that success. And I'm not saying the players that have left haven't been part of that success, but he's a key indicator on that left side of the field. He runs the left side of attack, but also then defensively, they're going to have a whole new change. So Casey McLean will obviously go to the left side and Isaac Tago or Paul Alamotti, and then Papa Leahy will come in. So it's a full change on that side of the field. And I think you're right with what you're saying about Nathan. He's going to have to take some control, probably both sides of the field, free up Blaze a little bit. Obviously, Dylan Edwards has been in the structure for just like longer than anyone. So he'll be fine with where he sits and where he pops up in and out around the back. But I think Blaze will have to do that. And Nathan, even though he does take a lot of the kicking, but I am concerned about the loss of Luai because he's been a big part of him. He started to evolve and change the way he played. He wasn't just that left side play. He started to sort of skip back through the middle, take some reins of the kicks, and then also jump in at first receiver to free up Nathan. So, and I also think, obviously, the players have also lost, as you just mentioned. Obviously, Big Fish, he'll be missed, but I still think they can cover him. The Jerome Law one's always going to be a massive issue. I'm with you. I think they're going to be up near the top. I think the Melbourne Storm will be just above them in first, and the Panthers will be second. How do you think
Isaiah Papali'i is a huge in for them, Toddy, coming over from the Tigers? We talk about the loss of Fisher Harris. Having someone like him coming off your bench, we may start some games, but I'd say he'd be off the bench in the early rounds. But he's a super player. He's probably lost a little bit there at the Tigers in and around their poor couple of seasons, especially last year. But he's a massive pickup for them, and the Panthers there and Ivan Cleary, they squeeze the best out of everyone. We've seen that from everyone that's come across there. Guys that have sort of struggled at other sides have come into the Penrith side and taken their game to another level. It's that winning energy. It's contagious, and he could be a buy of the season.
You look at the Tigers have got numerous roles. They've got lots of roles they have to do. Where you go back to a winning formula like a team like the Panthers, he's going to have a job. He's going to have one job or two jobs. And if he does that job really well, he's going to be a gun player like you just mentioned. So I think it's going to be a massive year for him also. Be an interesting one. It's obviously they're the hunters. They're the ones everyone wants to go for. They're going for their fifth grand final. So it would be interesting to see how they go.
What's their approach, Toddy, you think? Going into what's a bit of unknown territory, 4 premierships in a row, probably only people you could speak to is the Broncos players back in the early days dealing with those type of back-to-back-to-back successes. But the Dragons back in the 60s, was it? 50s, when were they? When they won 12 or 11 in a row. But what do you think the approach would be from Ivan Cleary? Going into a season, they've obviously got great leaders there, but where do you... your motivation's to win and to keep winning, but how do you just keep the foot on the throat time and time again?
I think Ivan Cleary does that really well. I watched the documentary last year called Undisputed, and he brought that in himself with the Undisputed Heavyweight Champion belt during the final series, and he had the little tags every time they'd win just to show that they're undisputed. But I think he's got a good mix because obviously he understands the group of players. He has to understand the group of players who've won 4 in a row. But just listen to Nathan speak every time they win. He's always talking about what's next. It's never, yes, he enjoys the moment, and Panthers enjoy their moment really well. I love the way they carry on after they win. That's needed, but it also seems to happen once they've carried on and done their bit with the party and celebration. It's back to what's next. There's never too much speculation of what's going on in preseason. They've had some massive outs. It's not a big talking point. It just gets left alone. I don't know if it's because they're out there at Penrith, but it seems to be like if it was another team with 4 grand final wins in a row, it'd be everyone that would be speaking about this year going into the 2025 season. But it seems like they're just left alone to do their business. And I'm sure they'll have a plan. They'll have a rock solid plan. But as you said, Nathan's the key to that. His performances, the way he evolves, the way he gets better. And I'm with you. Like, how does he continue to get better?
Well, you nailed it. You nailed it. He's father like son. They're just so calm. They're just so thought out. It seems like emotionally they're just so balanced. And if you've got your head coach and your best player, well, the best player in the world, in my opinion, as your halfback, it does. Like you said, it rubs off on the group. And that calmness rubs off on the group. There'd be no room, and obviously with Yowie there as well, as co-captain, they're just really level-headed, matured dudes, aren't they? And they just that rubs off on a young group. And I'll tell you what, we probably won't see this. Well, we might never see this again, or we won't see this for a long time. This type of success. And as I said before, I just can't wait to see how the whole squad, but especially Nathan, takes his game to another level again. He's an absolute student of the game, and as we said, with the new halves partner this year, he's going to know that he has to take a bit more of the reins or adapt the style of footy. And I just can't wait to see how he adapts and what style he plays and where he takes his game to. He's still only, 26, 27, so what a player.
Outstanding player. Round of applause for him.
Sixes and Sevens is brought to you by Good Day Daily Multivitamins. If you're looking to take your health a little more seriously and are not quite sure where to start, Good Day is a simple and effective way to get yourself essential vitamins and minerals.
Packed with over 60 health benefits, 100% of your B vitamins is the easiest way to feel good fast. With delicious passion fruit taste, just pour 1 sachet into water and you're good to go.
Head to begoodhealth.com.au. Use the code HALVES for the 10% off your order. It's the least you can do.
The next team we'll be talking about is a team that was on the improve in 2024, and I believe in 2025 they're going to be much more improved and even better than they were last year, which is the Canterbury Bulldogs. Their massive in for me is Satili Tupanua from the Roosters, and then their big out is Josh Adokar. He had a small chunk of the season out last year through injury, but I still think they'll miss him in and around the club. And it's another one. It's another question mark of who will start the year at 7 and 6 for them. Obviously, Burton will be their 6. Who partners him out of Sexton and Hutchinson? They swapped and changed last year. By the back end of the year last year, we all know Toby sort of found his rhythm there and they play some solid football. Well, I like the Bulldogs. There's always speculation about how they signed and they're they don't have a lot of big middles and they've got a lot of blokes that sort of play off the footy and stuff, but I thought it complemented them really well in their defence. Serrato's got him, always seems to like that effect that he come from the Bulldogs from the Panthers over to the Bulldogs, how long it would take for him to sort of change that group. And it showed last year.
Yeah, for me, the Dogs have got the best. You touched on their defence. For me, they got the best young defence coach, if not the best defence coach and head coach in the game. You spoke about a smaller pack, but last year we saw how effective, how smart and intelligent their coach was to play the style of footy they did with a smaller pack, and especially I think it was at the back end of the year last year, they were leaking less points than any other team in the comp. And you speak about the roster they had and compare that to the top rosters. It's a pretty unbelievable achievement to get that team to play like that and defend like that. And they're only going to get better again this year. Yeah, look, I see the Dogs as I could see them at their best. I think they're a top 5 side this year. You spoke about Sexton. For me, he's the 7. He's obviously got some some competition there that he's going to be pushing for. But for me and from all reports, Sexton's the starting 7, and I think he should be off the way he played at the back end of last year. He seems like a really impressive guy, real clubman. You hear his teammates talk really glowingly about him and what a footy head he is, and that's what you want from your 7, especially a young half. Seems like a real student of the game. So I think, with him, Burton and Tracy at the back there, it's a really tidy spine. How they go in the big games and handle the moments, and have they got enough X factor is still to be seen. But they're going to be in the fight every week. As I said, a smaller pack that they squeeze the lemon out of. Guys like Curran there, Kurt Mann. Those guys last year for smaller bodies were great for them, especially, as we said, in defence. The amount of inside pressures that they were doing, using their smaller bodies and fitness to their advantage was really impressive, really good coaching. So I'm excited to watch the Dogs. I enjoy watching them play. And Crichton too. Let's give him a rap. The captain. He's the best centre in the game, and in my opinion, he's top 5 players in the game, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we talk about teams when you get a player like Crichton, he was there last year, and he'll have that more of an effect this year. The bloke I liked last year that come off a lengthy delay was Bronson Sherry. He was outstanding for his first season back after 4 years, and I think he'll evolve and get better. We touched on Crichton, and I love Reid Marnie, the way he just attacks other teams' middles and gets under their skin, a bit like Innes used to.
Little grub.
He just sort of, it's a grub, just chirps away at him and chirps away at him. And we talk about their little guys, but then you've got big Kickout. Like he didn't set the world on fire last year, so I reckon there's going to be a massive year out of him. I'm with you. I see the Dogs in the top 8. I've placed them at 7th. I just think they're going to continue to improve. I worry about the depth sometimes in the halves if they lose a Burton. I'm looking forward to seeing how Burton evolves again as the 6. He took his game to different levels last year. He's obviously got his massive boot, and that's what his key is. But the way he played down that left side of the field and took control in bigger moments, iced some games for him in Golden Point, field goal, things like that. The effect that has, it makes him grow, it makes a player get more confident. Another season in the NRL, another pre-season at the Bulldogs under Serraldo, it just makes him, we just make him a whole lot better team. And as you touched on, their defence and their little guys and the way they work for each other. I know we talk about the 6 agains a lot, and that being an effect of teams winning and losing. It didn't seem to affect the Dogs last year because they could work themselves out of it because they were fitter, more agile, leaner, smaller team, where the bigger teams sort of struggle when they get put 6 again, and they get on the back foot, where the Bulldogs seem to handle it really well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Bulldogs improve again in 2025.
Yeah, like you said, and we said before, they use their roster to their advantage, which is super intelligent coaching, isn't it? You see some of these lower sides that probably have these rosters where they complain that they don't have all the superstars, but they're not playing the style that suits them. Jason Taylor and Cameron Serraldo, he's accepted the roster he's got, especially last year. He's obviously going to keep adding to this roster, but he's accepted the roster he's got, and he's worked out how to get the best out of them defensively and in attack. So, yeah, he deserves a lot of credit in a short period of time, what he's done there, Serraldo. And the reason I said top 5 is because I think if they can defend like they did last year, we know good defence gets you up the top of the ladder and it gives you consistency and it'll get you wins most weeks. So if they can do that again, which I've got no doubt they can, I think they'll actually be better than they were last year defensively. If they can do that, and as you said, the spine can own those moments consistently. A lot depends on Sexton, obviously, but I think he's got a lot to offer there. I really do. I think they can give it a good shake.
I think they need to be patient with Sexton. They need to give him time. From a junior schoolboy and then obviously coming through the Titans, he's always had big raps on him, but never sort of been given the opportunity to just stay in there and work at his game. And where the Bulldogs give him that at the back end of last year, and he started to perform really well for him. And I think if they can let him just be the controller, dictate all the terms, let Burton just pop in the moments that he needs to, and be happy, not be happy, but sort of let him make mistakes on the way, Sexton. Don't Don't criticize him straight away if he has one bad game or two poor games. Let him sort of mature as a half and be there. Don't swap and change for Hutchison because then obviously then they lose that cohesion. So I'm with you there. I think they're a great team, and I'm really looking forward to see how they improve.
Have you watched Mitch Woods play? Just player to mention. You're talking about halfbacks there. Mitch Woods. I spoke about Toby Rodwell before at the Roosters. Him and Mitch Woods were the halves pairing in the Australian schoolboys and the New South Wales 18s. They got massive raps on him. Have you watched much of him play?
No, I haven't heard much of him. No.
There's talk of him pushing for spots there too. So he's one to watch, I think, for Bulldogs fans. If he can kick through. We spoke about depth in that spine. He's a player to watch for sure. I've seen him play on a few occasions in the juniors, and he's a super competitor. So look out for him too, Mitch Woods.
Mitch Woods, we're coming for you. Instead of us criticising other halves for the last sort of 45 minutes, how about we've got a game this Sunday, and how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm nervous. So for those listening, me and Toddy are playing a game on Sunday.
At Ringrose Park at 3 p.m.
What are we even, to be honest with you, haven't even told me what it is.
6 and 7 jumper since 2011. Oh, sorry, 2012 we played Origin together. So if you got a spare couple of hours on Sunday afternoon, sit down and watch us. Probably not don the field like we used to.
Can you explain to me what it is? I just said yes, but I don't even know what we're doing.
You've only retired 6 months ago. You know what footy is.
Yeah, but what's the game? It's a charity game, yeah?
Charity game. So it's the Goanna Foundation and the Mark Hughes Foundation. I think it's a group of content creators. Put on a game. They hit us up, and I'm hopeless for saying yes all the time. Said yes and threw your name in, and here we are this Sunday. We're donning the jersey together.
I'm going to do a session tonight, mass runs, and a bit of kicking, and I'm going to late night shopping at Rebel Sport tomorrow night to get some boots because I don't have any. I'm serious. I don't have any boots.
Yeah. The only thing I like doing it is because I come to see you.
Yeah,
we could jump on the first flight to Sydney.
We can do that at the cafe.
So, yeah, that's right. And then I'm back down again Tuesday. I might as well move back to Sydney.
Yeah, well, lucky I like you.
Well,
I talk to you more than my missus, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my Susie gets worried when I talk to you because we start talking in different language and we sort of say some weird stuff. She was worried about us when you come and visited me a couple of years ago when you first visited. She was very worried about that. She was worried about us both. But yeah, she gets worried about how close we are. But it's the reason why we do things and we do good things together.
As long as you don't start touching me, we're sweet.
Them days are gone.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm sick of looking at your head.
I'll talk to you. See you Sunday for a mad game of footy.
Yeah, love you.
Love you, bro.